I'm really glad you're here. I am really glad you're here. Here now in this moment, of course. Here on this earth, here and alive. Here that you found your way to my video. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. This is a juicy theme today. There's a reason you clicked on this video. And now that you're here, I want to invite you to stay with that for a moment. I'm not just going to waffle on forever. I promise you we're going to get into the juicy stuff today. Because today is about why you don't actually want what you think you want. You do want it, but another part of you doesn't. And what I'm going to be revealing in this video is the thing that has completely changed the game for me, for my clients and the people that I work with, and for so many other people. And it's a pattern that I see coming up again and again and again in the people that come into my space, the people that find me. Because you find me when you're at a threshold of a new beginning, a new chapter. You find me when there is a building recognition that not only are you destined for so much more, not only are you an ambitious, driven person who wants to create amazing things in their life and knows that it's possible, but you find me when you're at the point when you're actually really fed up of the old patterns, the old loops. It's very likely that if you're watching this, you've had something that you've wanted in your life for quite a while. Very often it's some kind of business success, it's a relationship, deeper intimacy, a sense of purpose. Maybe it's a whole new sense of safety and aliveness and joy and peace in your body, right? Let me know in the comments which is you. I'd love to hear and I'd love to interact with you. Whatever you resonate with, you find me when you're at some kind of threshold where you want to create something new, but there's this old pattern in your life that for whatever reason keeps showing up. And very often this can look like taking a step forward in your business, in your income, and then hitting some kind of ceiling or threshold and then sabotaging or losing it all, or just not being able to break through that ceiling. It can look like finally calling in a relationship that you've been wanting for a really long time, and then you sabotage it or you push them away, right? And then you wonder, why did I do that? It could simply be, what I often find with some of the people that I work with is some kind of emotional, energetic blockage in their body that can lead to physical disease or discomfort, or there's something in your life. There's something in your life that you're done with. Let's just leave it at that for now, because I want to get into the good stuff, which is why people stay circling for so long is because they think that this pattern in my life, this ceiling that you're hitting, this relationship problem, this energetic, emotional, or even physical ailment that won't seem to go away no matter how much work you seem to do on yourself. People approach these things like they are a problem that needs fixing. And logically that makes sense, but this is also the thing that keeps them stuck, because the deeper truth is that a part of you wants it. A part of you wants it. And this is what I'm going to get into in this video today. This is the thing that if you can understand this, it will trigger you at first. I hope it does, because if it does, we're onto something. And even if it doesn't, we're still onto something. Because very often when you've been in this kind of loop of wanting something for a really long time and trying to take action to get towards it, but not being able to get there, there's a sense of frustration. There's a sense of like, why is this happening? There's a little part of you that feels like a victim, that feels hard done by, that feels like life is denying you what is yours, right? What you came here to create. That feels frustrating. And so when someone comes along and tells you that actually you are where you are because you want to be there, there's a part of you that probably goes, F you, man. No, I'm working on myself. I'm trying. I want to create what I want to create. So if that is you at what I said, then beautiful. You're in the right place. Stay with this, because it's not a conscious desire, this. Of course you want the money. Of course you want the success. Of course you want to feel good in your body. Of course you want deeper intimacy and relationships. Consciously, yes, that's what you want. But if every single part of your being was aligned in that desire, you would already have it. You would already have what you want if all of you was aligned with that desire. Because why? You're fucking powerful. You are a powerful creator. You are. You are. And your desire is enough to create. Desire that is not conflicted with counter desires or beliefs or stories that run in opposition to it will manifest in reality. It is law. I've seen it 100 times in my life. And there's been things in your life, I can bet right now, just think of something that you wanted, but that you probably didn't care about that much, that came into your life easily. Okay, this is kind of like manifestation 101. But we're going to go deeper into this here, because this thing that you want, I'm going to use the example of a relationship in this video, but we can also use money, business, purpose, health, anything. This thing that you want at the moment represents a new identity, a new reality, a new version of you. Okay? In order to fully step into being the version of you that lives that life, the version that you are now and that you have been up until this point has to finish, has to close, has to end. So already we're reaching the first level as to why you're not 100% actually wanting what you say you want. Why? Because you have a very primal mind that wants to keep you aligned with your old identity. You built up a sense of meaning up until this point. And the thing is, this pattern that you're trying to change, even though it probably causes you some kind of suffering, some kind of regret, some kind of frustration, there's another part of you that is identified with that. There's another part of you that sees yourself as the one who struggles to create relationships, as the one who has this health disorder, as the one who is working on themselves and trying hard to create money in their life. And there's a sense of meaning with that identity, especially if you're the type of people that usually come into my space, which are people that are not just being passive, right? You're actively doing the work. You're actively showing up. You're actively healing. You build up a sense of identity around that. And so to finally actually arrive and get what you want means that identity is no longer, it's obsolete, because you're no longer becoming, you're no longer healing, you're no longer trying, you're it. You've arrived. It's done. And so these parts of yourself, your psyche, that built up a sense of meaning and purpose and a sense of self around working on yourself, around healing, around being almost there. I call it the almost you, right? That almost you has to die, has to leave, has to complete, has to finish, so that arrived you, living the life that you want, you can take over. So already we can see that there's a deep part of you that believes you are this old version of yourself that is afraid to die. It doesn't want to die, right? It doesn't want to finish. And that's just a very obvious thing to see, that actually for you to fully arrive where you want to go, it means that you have to say goodbye to who you've been. And people often skip over that, even though it makes a lot of logical, rational sense. You've probably heard some of this before. Because you want what you want, you think that you don't need to do much with this, but you do. There needs to be some process of active completion of this old identity. Why? Because if you don't complete it, the part of you that believes that you're only safe if you stay in this identity will dominate. It will take control, because this is the thing most people don't understand. Your mind will always default towards safety, towards security. What do I mean by this? If there is a pattern, a subconscious pattern in your life with some kind of belief that says, I'm only safe if I do this, or if I stay in this reality, or if I keep creating this thing, and you don't confront that, challenge it and change that belief consciously, then that belief is going to run the show. It's always going to default towards safety. And so when people don't go deep enough into actually meeting this part of themselves, I think I need to move back a little bit. I'm getting enthusiastic. You can't see my head. When people don't actually meet this part of themselves that is invested in staying where they are, and they don't give it what it needs to complete, then it's going to keep running the show. No matter how much action you take towards moving forward, no matter how much healing you do, no matter how much you work on yourself, no matter how much you go out and try and meet new people, or bring in that relationship or that money or whatever it is into your life, this deep part of you underneath is going, we can't actually arrive because that's not safe. It's not safe to be that person, because it's only safe if I stay who I am. It's not actually true, but it believes that it's true. So that's the first layer. We're going to take this even deeper. Okay, so first of all, if you're watching this, if you followed this far, this video is definitely for you. My name is Tobias. I'm a guide. I'm an initiator. I help people like you break through the patterns that have been holding them back all their life so that they can create the wealth, the business, the purpose, the relationship, the intimacy that they're really here for in their life. So hit the subscribe button, all of that good jazz, and welcome. There's a much deeper layer to this though still. Every time that pattern in your life that you say you want to change comes up, we're going to take the example of relationships again. You attract someone into your life and you sabotage it. You know, it seems to be going well, but then you find some kind of reason for it to end. You start to find things about them that you don't like, that don't match your perfect image, whatever it is. You just find some kind of reason to sabotage it. You push them away, you reject it, right? This is kind of like the avoidant archetype. Quite often people who have that kind of pattern in their life come to regret it. They're like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I actually just open to this relationship that I say that I want? Well, it's because deep down, to do so risks rejection. To do so risks meeting someone at such a deep level and having them see the most vulnerable parts of you. And so even though you really want that, another part of you is fucking afraid of it. Because you're afraid, deep down, in this example, that what if they see everything about me and actually they still reject me? What if I'm not actually enough? Right? In that sense, what you're risking by stepping into what you want, relationship, intimacy, what you're risking is the confirmation of your deepest fear that in some way you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you're not deserving of love. And it is way safer to stay away from intimacy and fantasize about it and want it and think about it and wonder why you can't seem to have it and believe this story about how all the good ones are taken and no matter how hard you try, you can't seem to attract the person that you want into your life. That might be painful to tell that story, to live that reality, but it feels safer. Why? Because at least it's familiar, and at least then you get to have the fantasy of, well, maybe one day I'll meet someone. Or at least you get to just tell yourself the story, all the good ones are taken, instead of actually having to step into the discomfort of real intimacy, instead of actually having to risk really being seen and potentially being rejected, which would trigger that deeper wound underneath. Okay, so let me know if you're getting this, because this is the relationship example, and it's kind of an avoidant attachment style example, but it doesn't matter because we can apply it to anything in your life as to why at one level you're afraid of what you want, and at another level you get a secret payoff, an actual pleasurable payoff to stay where you are, to stay stuck in the loop that you say that you want to change. Part of you is invested in it. Part of you gets some kind of kick out of it, a sense of pleasure, a sense of like, yes, okay, thank God, that relationship's gone. I feel sad because I wanted it, but a deeper part of me kind of feels good because I was afraid of it, right? This is what we call the existential kink. It's the part of you underneath in your deep unconscious that is deeply invested in you staying stuck, staying in the pattern, staying in the loop. Now we can apply this to money. We can apply this to business. We can apply this, let's apply it to money and business, because those are the other two key areas that people come to me about. You have some kind of purpose or mission in your life that you want to step into, but you keep procrastinating. And you keep sabotaging and you keep not actually taking the action. And then you feel all this guilt and this shame come up, right? And you're like, why am I not where I want to be? And you think that, well, there's a pattern, there's something blocking me and it's frustrating and I'm angry. But actually you're choosing that. A part of you deep down is choosing that. Why? Because if you are not procrastinating, if you actually do take action and you go fully in to what you are inspired to create, you have to risk failure. And if you go full in and you fail, then it would trigger the belief inside of you that says that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy of it. So it's much safer to not go fully in. It's much safer to procrastinate. And every time you procrastinate and you miss out on an opportunity and you find that you're not where you want to be, yes, you feel guilt, you feel shame, you feel frustration, but there's a deep part of you that, if you're really honest with yourself, also feels relieved, also feels like, thank God, okay, I can stay where I am now. This is deep, deep stuff, and not everybody is ready to see it. Not everybody is ready to see it, because you have to be willing to be honest with yourself that you're powerful, you're not a victim, and you're creating all of it. And for people that have been stuck in a victimhood story for a long time, because maybe you were victimized at some point, that can be really triggering, because there's a payoff to victimhood as well. It's the same kind of thing, right? And believing that it's outside of your control, believing that no matter what you do, it's just not enough and life is punishing you. Like, we tell ourselves these kind of stories all the time because there's a payoff to it. And you have to be willing to acknowledge that payoff and to not shame yourself for it, to just actually accept it, to just go like, yeah, okay, a part of me is really benefiting from this story. A part of me wants this. When you can get to that point of radical honesty about, okay, here's the shit pattern in my life that I don't really want, but a part of me does want it, a part of me is creating it, and I'm willing to accept that, and I'm also willing to give myself permission to choose that, permission to feel it, then you eradicate resistance. You stop fighting your shadow and you welcome it home and integrate it instead. That is the place where the pattern can then dissolve, where what you want can stop being seen as a risk, it can stop conflicting with this shadow desire, and you can bring everything into alignment. And when you do that, when you dissolve counteractive desires and you bring all of your being into alignment, that's where manifestation happens. That's where reality creation happens. That's where you move with power and precision, and life starts to respond to you, because this frequency, the signal that you're now putting out, is a clean signal. Instead of being distorted with all these sort of different desires and different ideas, you're putting out a clean signal that says, I want this relationship and I'm ready to receive it. Boom, life mirrors that. Now, that sounds super simple, and in many ways it is, but it's not easy. I won't pretend it's easy. I'm not 100% there. I still repeatedly, all the time, create things that I think I don't want in my life. But the thing that is changing the game for me is by recognizing that, okay, part of me has chosen this. Why have I chosen this? What's the benefit to it? Can I give myself permission, instead of shaming myself for that, can I give myself permission to actually just own this creation for a moment, right? And to love the part of me that is creating it to try and get a need met, instead of trying to fix it or change it or overcome it, because that just reinforces the story that you're broken, that there's something to fix, that there's something wrong with you. And what this work does is that it helps you embody the truth that you've already arrived. There's nowhere to get to. You're already it. You're already an infinite creator. You're not broken. You're not ruined. You just have these patterns. And all these patterns need is your loving awareness, your acceptance, and then a new choice. Awareness, acceptance, choice. That is the essence of this work. And that is everything that I help people like you step into. So let me know in the comments what you got from this video. This is a deep and powerful subject, and we can go really so much deeper with this. But at this point, I want to say that if you resonated with this, I have a free session called The Crossing. The Crossing is a 25-minute conversation where I will take you direct to seeing very clearly the pattern that's showing up in your life that you want to change, to help you see how part of you is getting a secret payoff from that. When you see that, and this is what happens with every single person who's had a crossing conversation with me, whether they've gone on to work with me deeper or not, every single person has seen that shift of, they come in feeling like, oh my God, I'm stuck. There's this pattern I can't see, I'm blocked, to recognizing, oh, I'm actually creating this in some kind of way, and it's not such a big deal. It's just a pattern, and it's a pattern that has a secret payoff, and I can now understand what that payoff is, and now I can go in and give that part what it needs so it can complete. That's the essence of this work. That's the essence of what I call initiation, which is the journey that I take leaders like you through so that you can complete these old patterns in your life and finally step into the version of you that you were meant to be, where you create what you're here to create. So if you want to step into that, as I say, it's a free session, 25 minutes. It's not a sales call, although of course, if you do want to journey deeper with me, I will share what that will look like at the end of that call. But really, it's here to serve you and help you create a breakthrough. So step into that. What I want to say is that it's not for freebie seekers. This is for people who are really ready to go all in into creating what they're here to create and actually shift their patterns, right? Not people who are looking to be saved, people who are ready to take full ownership of their life and are willing to invest in making that happen. That doesn't necessarily mean financially, it doesn't mean that you have to work with me, but it just means that you're the kind of person who's here to show up. That's why I give it for free, is because I love serving people like you. So I just want to say that. Book it by the link below. Drop a comment, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.